There it is. All right, this is for our judge, Maiken Davis. She's joining us, and we are going to go over her first showmanship class of the day, which is our two-handed intermediate senior showmanship. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right, Maiken, if you could walk us through what you're expecting, where you want kids to stop at cones, what you're looking for in the senior showmanship, how you want that pattern executed.
Perfect. Sounds great. So what I really appreciate starting in showmanship is when horses are ready to go. If you would be at cone A and waiting ready to go, I will be very happy to see you at cone A. You start walking towards the center of the arena, and after you turn, as the pattern is drawn, you execute the turn into your figure 8 before picking up the jog. You're going to do the top circle of your figure 8 at the jog, and you're going to stop in the center. You'll back 1 horse length, and that number of steps is going to depend on how big of steps your horse takes. If your horse takes itty bitty little slide your feet back steps, you're going to need to take a few more steps than a horse that takes big, large strides. It says 1 horse length. Okay, so wherever your horse's butt stops, that's where your horse's head should be when you finish backing your horse. Then you'll pick up the jog and continue the bottom half of your figure 8 towards the judge. As the pattern is drawn, it says stop and set up for inspection. The judge should be even with the horse's shoulder. So where I am looking, I should see your horse's shoulder. You'll set up for inspection. I like really square horses. I like horses that don't rest their feet, but I also appreciate not being kept waiting on you to set your horse up. I do like quick setups. So get your horse as square as you can, as quick as you can. I understand that these are young horses, and you know, when you come into the arena, your set up might not be as nice as it was in the warm-up arena, but that is okay. Give me the best that you can as quick as you can, okay? We'll do our inspection. We'll use the box system, just as is drawn in the rule book. I think in the rule book it says head and tail, and then withers. So draw that sideline through the withers. So don't be asking me if you should be moving at the shoulder or the neck or the stomach. I'm going to draw that line through the withers, as should you. You'll set it for inspection, and we'll do our inspection, and then you will have a 180-degree pivot. For pivots, I really like your horse to plant the correct foot. When you are pivoting to the right, your horse should be planting the right rear foot. I like horses that are kept straighter. I don't want to see a lot of bend in your horse. If you get a lot of bend in your horse, you're not going to plant that back foot. And I really like kids that stay safe and off to the side of their horse. If you are crossing in front of your horse or getting ahead of your horse in the pivot, that's not where you should be standing. So please make sure that you stay in a safe and correct position. You complete your 180-degree pivot and you walk to the exit.
Okay, perfect. Are there any tips and tricks you want to give our senior showmanship two-handed kids that they need to know that might give them a plus point in their pattern somewhere along the way?
Like I said, I really like horses who are waiting at the gate. I don't like to be kept waiting, and this is the first event. We've got a long day to go, so let's not hold anyone up. I like horses that stop straight. I like horses that back straight, and I really like horses that pivot correctly.
Perfect. Okay, great. Well, that is kind of the end of our senior. We are going to talk through senior in-hand trail. Our judge is Shanae Nelson, and she's going to talk you through how to get your best possible score with this pattern.
Okay, for the senior in-hand trail, the first maneuver is set horse up at cone A, walk to and perform a left-handed gait. In this maneuver, we are going to set the cone a little bit off to the side of the gate so that you can kind of walk an arc up to the gate and have your horse in the correct position to start with the gate. And then on this maneuver, I'm just looking for, it to be very fluid and very consistent with the horse, that, they're willing to go through it and just stay calm. And then the step 2, jog trot logs in the serpentine pattern. Again, just looking for the horse to stay with the handler, consistent speed through it, and to not take the logs. And then step 3 is walk over logs. Same thing as the trot logs, just consistent forward motion through it without, hesitating or, stepping on the logs. And then step 4, to walk to and over bridge and jog to mailbox and stop. With the bridge, I like to just, again, see the forward motion, no hesitations, no stopping, just fluid going over it just like you would hope they would going out on a trail ride. To stop at the mailbox, the jog and stop, just smooth transitions, and just that the horse does it calmly. And then on step 5, to remove and replace the object in the mailbox and walk to L-shaped logs. Same with the mailbox, just that they stand there calm while you're doing the mailbox and working it. And then walking to the logs, that they just stay with the handler. And then for your pivot, just kind of like a showmanship pivot, that you would see, just fluid and through it, and that they, are listening to the handler. And then to back the L-shaped logs and the 270 pivot right, you're going to just back through with, I look for not rushing, just taking your time, and getting them through it without hitting logs, and that they're listening to the handler and moving their body where the handler's wanting them to put it. And same with the pivot. And then on step 8, walk to log in center of arena, pick up log, drag it to and around log in front of it, set log down in original position, and walk to the exit gate. On that, you can go whichever direction you want on the circle. That doesn't make a difference to me. I just am looking for, for you to put your horse in the best position, to go whichever direction you feel is the safest for your horse, and the position, the log wherever you feel like it would be the safest, and that your horse stays calm with you dragging the log.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so what is something that you'd be really nitpicky about, or that you definitely want to see achieved in this pattern?
For me, I want to see that the exhibitor is thinking about their horse, and that their horse trusts them, and that you can tell that they've worked together and become a team.
Awesome. That is great. Okay, thank you for that recap of what you're expecting in the senior in-hand showmanship. All right, we are here with John, and he's going to walk us through the senior two-handed horsemanship pattern, what he's looking for, and how you guys can be the most successful in this pattern.
Thank you, and thank you for having me out to judge your state fair. Looking forward to evaluating the senior two-handed horsemanship. In this pattern, we're going to start at cone A, and you will strike off in an extended trot to the center of the arena at kind of a diagonal. If you look at the picture, you'll be moving kind of on a 45-degree angle from the side panels, if you will. And I don't mind if there's you need an initial trot step to move out into that extended trot. Don't try to ask your horse to fly on out of there. I want to see a smooth transition, and you should be into the extended trot rather readily, but it should not be abrupt. And at that point, you will stop at the center of the arena, or the center of the pattern, I should say. You're going to back one horse length, complete a 90-degree pivot to the left, and then back one horse length. So since the pattern says complete a 90-degree pivot to the left, what that means to me is you should be moving the horse's front end to the left. So you move the front end over, and then you will back another horse length. A horse length is about 4 steps. I'm not going to get too hung up if it's 1 step off, or the horse balanced itself, or something along those lines. One little step or something like that is absolutely no big deal to me. And there's plenty of other things for me to evaluate throughout the pattern. But it's about 1 horse length in each of those backs. You're going to go ahead and pick up the right lead and lope a small circle, and then continue straight. I would ideally like to see you lope off there. Maybe you might have to take 1 or 2 walk steps, but what I don't want to see you do is walk, trot, and lope off into it. I would like to see more of a departure, which is fine if there's a couple of walk steps, but you will definitely earn more credit for me if it's not a walk, trot, and then lope. If you're able to just go ahead and move out with just a little preparation into that lope. Keeping your eyes up and not looking down to check your lead and those kind of things as well. So let's see here. Continue after you go straight. You'll continue around on the counter canter until you're even with where I am positioned. At that point, you will break to the walk and continue around the corner. That corner does not need to be necessarily sharp, but it shouldn't be super rounded either. Just a nice casual corner there, okay? Then you'll pick up the jog and jog as the pattern shows and towards the judge. Now those, in that instance, are more kind of your squared corners. And I would like to see those be a little bit more of kind of a squared corner as you do that. And you will come towards the judge. I would like to see you come straight towards me within reason. Please don't stop on top of me. Leave a little comfortable space between us. Would be great. And then so you'll be stopping in front of the judge, and you will perform your dismount and remount, and then you will exit the arena at the walk after you're dismissed. On that mount and remount, I will be looking for you to do that appropriately, using only your saddle horn as needed, and with the expectation that you would check your back before the remount. If there's more questions, I'm happy to answer those during our Q&A session before the show starts. Or I think, is there a submission process?
We did the videos this year instead of the submission process.
Okay. But regardless, be happy to try to answer those questions during the Q&A session in our meeting in the morning. Otherwise, good luck, and look forward to watching the senior two-handed horsemanship.
Awesome. Is there anything in this pattern that you're going to be especially picky about, or that you really want to see the kids do their best at?
One of the things for me, and this goes for just about any pattern I evaluate, pattern placement is really important to me. The circle needs to be symmetrical. It can't be a football or an egg, and smooth curves. If you go up a particular height on the top part of your circle, when you come down into that counter canter around the bottom, should be about equal distance from where you started, which was supposed to be, as the pattern indicated, you extended trot to the center of the arena, and I mentioned to the center of the pattern. For me, where you position that initial stop is the center of the pattern for me at that point, and the rest of the pattern needs to be symmetrical based off of that. And so I think that pattern placement in this pattern, where there aren't very many cones or anything like that, is going to be really important, and that's a big part of what you're being evaluated, is to make this pattern appear smooth and symmetrical. Is really going to be important. Likewise, in terms of your horsemanship, good hands, quiet hands is going to be important to me. Keeping your eyes up and looking to where you're going is important. Avoid over cueing. It's okay to make a mistake and have a little bobble. It's how you handle that mistake and little bobble that's really important. If it's subtle and you correct it, or whatever the case may be, in a reasonable amount of time and area, that's perfectly acceptable. Obviously, you still made a mistake, but it's not going to hurt you nearly as bad if you handle it appropriately.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for walking us through the senior two-handed horsemanship, and I think this really helps our kids out.
Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to it.
This is for the senior two-handed trail. Our judge today is going to be Shanae Nelson, and she's just going to walk us through what she's looking for and how you guys can be the most successful for her trail pattern.
Okay, for the senior two-hand trail, you're going to start with the first maneuver, which is start at cone A, walk the forehand into the L-shaped logs, side pass left over the log, around the corner, and side pass off of the log. So with the forehand pivot, again, that does, or I'm sorry, let me start this one over. I so had that down and I was so wrong.
It's fine. I'm just glad somebody else did it too. Okay, yeah, we can do that again.
Okay.
All right, this is our pattern walkthrough for the senior two-handed trail. Our judge today is Shanae Nelson, and she's going to walk us through how to be the most successful on her trail pen.
Okay, for the senior two-hand trail, the first maneuver is start at cone A, walk forehand into the L-shaped logs, side pass left over log, around corner, and side pass off of the log. So with this maneuver, you're going to walk up until you have your horse's front feet inside of the L. And then you're going to ask them to side pass left. When you get to the corner, you're going to kind of move their hind end around that corner and then continue to side pass until you're off of the log. For step 2, jog to and over the trot logs in the serpentine pattern. So again, we're looking for forward motion, that they're not ticking the logs, and just consistency through that serpentine. For step 3, you're going to pick up your right lead and lope over the logs and then continue to the mailbox. With this maneuver, we're just looking for a consistent speed, that they're not ticking the logs, and that they're just soft and easy over the logs. And then when you get to the mailbox, we're not looking for a harsh stop, just kind of a soft, easy stop. And then while you're removing and replacing the item from the mailbox, just that they stand there quietly while you're doing that. Then the next maneuver is walk into the line circle, perform a 180 forehand pivot to the left. So again, on the forehand means that the horse's head will be going to the left, their hip will be going to the right. And then the next maneuver, pick up left lead and lope to and over the lope logs. Again, just the same thing as the other direction, just soft, consistent, picking up their feet over the logs, and just staying the same speed through the whole thing. And then the next is break to the jog and jog over logs in serpentine pattern to L-shaped logs. So again, with the serpentine, just consistent forward motion, picking up their feet, and that they're just soft going through that and listening to the handler how they're turning them. And then for the last step, you're going to stop and do a 180 pivot to the left, so that you're straight with the logs. Depending on the angle that you come in at, you may have to do a little bit more than a 180, just so that you are straight with going into the logs. I'd like to see you get your horse's body straight before you start to back into those logs. And then you're just going to back through that with just, kind of soft, quiet, no rushing, just that the horse is listening to what you're asking them to do. And then you're going to do a 270-degree pivot to the right and walk to the exit. The pivots, we're just looking for, a consistent pivot. Doesn't have to be fast or anything that way. Just that they're listening to the handler. And then once you are walking out, you can just continue on out the gate.
Okay, that is awesome. So is there something in this pattern that you feel like you're going to be more picky about, or that you really want to see the kids do their very best job on?
I think some credit earning maneuvers can definitely be that back through and the side pass.
Okay.
And a lot of it is just positioning on the horse and how they choose to position their horse to put them in the best position for their success.
Okay, that is awesome. Well, thank you for walking us through your senior two-handed trail. We're here with Shanae Nelson, and she will be your judge for the senior Western showmanship, and she's going to give us the tips and tricks to how to get through her pattern and make it look effortless. So Shanae, take it away.
Okay, to start your pattern, you're going to want to be set up at cone A, even with about your horse's nose. Then you're going to jog to B and stop anywhere from nose to shoulder to cone. And then you will back until your hip is even with A. And then you will do your pivot. You will walk around C. And then the extended jog from C until your hip is even with cone D. The extended jog, I hope to see a difference in speed compared to what your regular jogs are. And then once you stop, you'll do the 270. And then you will trot a third of the line, break to a walk for 2 strides, so 2 horses steps. And then you will jog until your hip is even with the judge. And then you will do your 90-degree pivot and set up for inspection. And then after the inspection, you're going to back 1 horse length, which is anywhere from 4 to 6 steps. And then you'll complete your 180-degree pivot and jog until you're even with cone A. And then you will break to a walk and walk to the exit.
Awesome. So when they come in to line up with the judge, are you expecting that you're going to be standing at the horse's shoulder after the pivot? Where do you want them to jog? Do you want their line jogging into you to be straight to you, or do you want them to be off center so that the head lines up?
When they stop at D, they're going to need to make sure that the hip is even with the judge so that when they pivot, they are straight with the judge.
Okay, perfect. So you want them to end up facing you after their 90 and set up directly facing you.
Correct.
Perfect. Awesome. With your break to the walk, you said 2 steps. Is that 2 of the horse's steps? Do you want it to be just a third of the distance? How do you want the kids to gauge that 2 stride distance?
Where the pattern says for 2 strides, I would say it's 2 of the horse's steps.
Okay, perfect. That is great. So tips and tricks for the kids to get the very best out of this pattern. What's a pet peeve that you're looking for that's going to really get them penalty points? What's something that can help them out there?
The biggest thing for me is be confident. Show me that you have confidence in you and your horse, and that you guys do work together. You practice, you work hard. I like to see a very sharp but natural look, not over showing, just that you are confident in what you and your horse have.
Okay, that is great. Awesome. Thank you for that walkthrough of the senior showmanship, and it'll be a good show day. Thank you.